So, hello and welcome everyone. Hello, Neda.
Hello, Fredrik.
Yeah. So and hello everyone. So we are now at the end of the first week in the course, and we are going to have a weekly blog every Friday afternoon, with I think one exception. I think there is one read like a holiday during any of the Fridays so far. So we are going to keep a document open. You are able to find this document also on the Discord server. It's a HackMD document. We will keep all the notes for all the video blogs in the same document, so you will be able to continue and follow along. And the meaning of these blogs is to have a short recap of what has happened during the week. Also talk a little bit about what's happening during the next week, and hopefully also being able to address everything that is of interest in terms of the course. If there are any questions that has been or if it's something that we need to make more clear or so. So maybe we can just start. I think some updates here is that it seems that at least talking with ElectroKit that they have sent out 277 kits. And that is a record.
Yeah.
So the previous years, we have been, it actually had been less than 200 every year, more or less around 200 kits. About 77 more kits than usual. It's fun. Maybe one of the reasons for this is also that they are much less expensive this year. So hardware-wise, we are now at the least expensive hardware option so far in this course, and that's good. And we are still able to do the same things. To talk a little bit about the number of students, I can also address that there seems to be that some students still have problems with logging into Canvas. I know that might not be fun, but we are working on it. And when I say we are working on it, it will be me sending an email once again to the administrator office and asking them to help out with this. But to make sure that everything is correctly said, is that you need to register yourself at LADOC. You need to actually do something as a student. Otherwise, you will be unenrolled into the course. So you will drop out. So if you have been in the course and then, you just drop out, that is because you haven't registered. If that happens, you know why, and then please register. If there is any problems of any kind, just let us know with registration and such. But hopefully everyone will be onboarded. I thought everyone should be onboarded already on Wednesday. But I also think that the reason is that it seems that there are a lot of students that have showed up just this week. And we have sent an email to every single one of you quite many weeks ago, just because you were supposed to buy hardware before the course starts. But some have missed this. I would say maybe 30 or 50 students seems to have missed this. Hopefully it will work out, but that is also perhaps a reason why people don't have access to Canvas. And one thing that also could be added in this is that there seems to have been some old links that have been distributed in the Discord server for previous years' courses. And obviously, I think I have unpublished some of those older courses, but there might be so that you can still access the links if you're logged in. I don't know. But my message to you all is that make sure that you are on the correct year when you go into Canvas. So if you drop a link, just check if is this actually the 2023 year, so we don't create more confusion than what is needed. Do we need to add something here? Also, please feel free to add comments or add questions. I would say preferably in the Discord server. I will see the questions or comments that you do in obviously here in YouTube as well. But if you keep them in the Discord server, it's easier for everyone else to actually see what was said afterwards. We keep everything in one place. And you also don't necessarily need to show your name publicly. That will happen if you give a comment here on YouTube. So I think that was maybe an update of the course general logistics. So I could also say that I've gotten a lot of questions about where I don't find the Moodle course. I could probably emphasize on that. We are not using Moodle, we are using Canvas. But that is not totally true now because I created a Moodle room just with a link to Canvas. So, so no one needs to ask that question again, where is the Moodle room? Yeah, there is a Moodle room with a link to the Canvas site. So hopefully that will be even more clear in the future. Yes, maybe we could talk about the workshops. I've actually like snooped in a little bit during the week and checked while the workshop were happening. I could just give an overview of the workshops. There were some questions in the early beginning, and I've seen in Q&A channel that people were wondering if do I need to attend a workshop? Is it obligatory? And what do you mean with active participation and such? And to make that more clear for everyone is that, well, it isn't actually obligatory to visit the workshops. So that is, I would say, you can still pass the course and not show up at workshops. Obviously, we will count that as like a very low amount of participation. So, and the course is designed that a lot of the learning material is included in the workshops. So if you're not able to join the workshops, you are missing out the main part of the course. So my suggestion to everyone is that if there is one thing that you should put time in is joining into the workshops. The lectures which Neda has made for the week 1 and 2, they are already up there. You can watch them anytime you like. There is a recommendation, obviously, of like watch this the first week and watch this the second week. I hope that is clear from the planning page. But actually, you could probably get away with your project and not watching every single lecture as long as you go to the workshops. So the point here is that the workshops is the main part of the course. So that is what I want to say. Yeah, I got a question here that GitHub apparently has code from last year's hardware, and that is some confusion. Good point. We will clear that. I will make probably a separate folder for last year course or something like that on GitHub. So I will fix that. Regarding the workshops, what I have seen so far is that people have been spending quite late evenings already. A big shout out to all the TAs. We will meet them, and maybe in the next blog we will have everyone on board, so you can give your view as well. But so far I'm super impressed. It's so fun to see that you're using this. Is it called a stage setting in Discord? It's fine, and good work so far. And there seems to be some. Actually, I didn't add that comment myself. Use PyMaker instead of Pico Wireless Go. Do you want to add something on that, Neda? Or
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
You have a phone call.
Exactly. I'm so sorry. So about the update on a workshop, we suggest, we recommend using PyMaker instead of Pico Go extension because it's more official, I would say, and it makes it easy to work with it, and it's more compatible with VS Code. So you wouldn't encounter with the problem that arise when you use Pico Go. So this is the update that when you are going and see the lecture 2.6, you should notice that that one before it was about Pico Go extension. Now it is updated, and you will follow the roadmap, and you should use PyMaker extension instead. So it was a confusion for students that which extension we should use. And is the recommendation, PyMaker.
Yeah, and this is maybe worth saying that there are a lot of different ways of programming your microcontroller, and what we try to do is find I would say the most optimal way of recommendation when we are running this course with hundreds of students. We evaluated a lot of different options before the course. So what I'm saying also is that if whatever works for you, you don't necessarily need to follow what the recommendation is. So if you find something that works for you, so if you like working in Tony, or if you find any other extension or whatever way works, it's fine. So don't see these as recommendations. And also, if you find something that is right, like this is working really, really good, like please share, because there might be some things that we need, like we can add those things.
Yeah, exactly. For example, some student could get it to work by using Pico Go extension. But some others get it to work with PyMaker, and it was easier for them. So it depends, and they can use which IDE they like, as you mentioned, VS Code or Tony, and then use extension that it works better for them.
Yeah. And let's see. I was asked by also. I need to check here. Sorry for me thinking out loud. It also a question about workshops in the Discord server. That it seems that it was a comment that more or less all the workshops the first week were containing pretty much the same information. Yes, obviously that's by design, and we will have different content in the next week's workshops, and it will yet be different content the third week and the fourth week. That means that there is a general, I would say, agenda for the workshops. So like the first week is obviously getting started. The thing here is that if you join a workshop and if you say that, okay, I would like to go into this area. Okay, I'm already done with the basic setup. I want to now, I have this DHT11 sensor and I want to learn how to, whatever you want to learn about. What you can do during the workshop is to just raise your hand, just say, and it will form a new group. You see that there are many TAs in the workshops. And why we have planned many TAs, it's not that like everyone should sit in and listen to like just one basic tutorial. The point here is that we are able to split up. we are able to split up on demand. So if there is anything that you think that I want to like discuss this, I want to go through this, then we just open up another room. So the workshops is one part is being able to, in a slow pace, go through the basics. And that happens the first week. Next week, it will be different content. But if you feel that, okay, I've already done that, that you don't necessarily need to sit and watch that. You can actually jump into the workshop or just drop a message to the TAs and say that, oh, I'm already done with that. There's a possibility to discuss this part, or if you check the roadmap, and then we will adapt. So the message here is that don't see the workshops as static lectures. They are not supposed to be that. They are more of an area where you can jump in and it will adapt for your needs. That's the main point of the workshops. And obviously they will be different during the upcoming weeks. There is a basic, I would say, thought behind everything based on the roadmap. There is one comment about that you love the feature of development mode in PyMaker. It's amazing. Yeah, a lot of things are amazing, so it's nice. The hours spent in Discord, that's why I was a little bit slow when I talked a little bit earlier. I was supposed to find that information in the bot channel, but I'm not sure where to find it. Sorry, but the amount of hours spent in Discord for the first week is a substantial amount, because I don't find the exact number now. I will have to get back to that. But if someone could help me in finding that, because there is a bot that is supposed to handle all these things, just let me know, preferably during the live stream now, and I can say. But there has been a substantial amount of hours spent in workshops, and that is, I would say, really cool to see. Should we say anything about the first week of lectures, Neda? I mean, you have spent a considerable amount of time on producing this. So,
yes. I think, for the first week, we had 5 lectures, and lecture 1 that was about introduction to Internet of Things and the reference model that we have for it, the entities that exist in an IoT system, such server, client, gateways, and other entities. And also we defined a IoT roadmap that in the workshop TAs are trying to help a student. And this roadmap shows that how from end to end you are sending your data and show up in the dashboard. And also we talked about some pilot cases that has been done in IoT lab in Kalmar. And so they get idea that what projects can be done with IoT. It was all about lecture 1. And in lecture 2, talk about the MCUs or microcontrollers, and specifically about Raspberry Pi Pico W that has wireless capability. And also we talked about Raspberry Pi Pico W pinout diagram to know how it is. And also we talked about digital communication protocols, which are very important, like UART, SPI, and I2C. And we talked about electronic components and get to know the breadboard, the jumper wires, and other electronic components that we are going to use in our project. And also how we can set up Raspberry Pi Pico W in VS Code IDE.
Yeah.
And in lecture 3, I talked about introduction. About IoT communication. That what are the technologies that exist, like LTE, Wi-Fi, LoRa, And also, I talk about TCP/IP layer model just because I wanted to show them that if IoT has a layer model, is correspond to the TCP/IP layer model, but with different protocols. So that's why we have IoT a stack of protocols, because in different layers we have different protocols. And then, for example, for the web, we have a HTTP protocol in the application layer, but for IoT devices that they are very constrained with the less memory and less processing power, we are using MQTT protocol. And then I talk a little about remote sensing and remote control, that I show them in a diagram, that when we send data and it's in the cloud, it's called remote sending. And when we control from cloud or from other devices in other devices, it's called remote control. So I just want to show them that this is two-way, and you can follow either remote sending or remote sending plus remote controlling.
Yeah, and I mean, we could probably add that there is a thought behind this many lectures the first week, is that we divided them also into smaller parts, and some parts are even though they are sometimes not super small, but they are at least trying to be modular. That was the main idea behind it. So and yeah.
I try to keep them small, but some parts need to be keep it in one video. So that's why part 3, for example, is little longer than others.
Yeah.
And about lecture 4, I talked about MicroPython programming language, because I thought maybe some students are not familiar with this language. So I think it was a good idea to talk about it. And then I introduced the VS Code IDE, that we have a script shell, and we have REPL or REPL, as I talked in video. And there are 2 different scripts that you can use. And also, I talked about basic programming concepts in MicroPython, such as syntax, such as data structures that we have, and other concepts. And also, I talked about the libraries that are very important, like struct, time, network, that we use them a lot in our course. For example, the struct library, we will use it in LoRaWAN. When I am preparing lecture 7, that is about LoRaWAN, and for sure.
And I could also add, I mean, just to give, like, because if you go into these concepts now, you get actually a lot of information. And don't, like, you as a student, some of you are perhaps already like, you know how to program. I mean, I know that there are a lot of students that are developers and that you're into computer science program and such. So you might be able to just refresh some material, or if you think that this is, you don't necessarily need to watch everything, you can pick and choose. But if you're totally a beginner to programming, don't feel intimidated that you don't understand everything, even though, like, because we focus more on you doing things. There won't be a formal exam. That all information that is in all these lectures, it's made for you to be able to finish your project. You're not going to be tested on theoretical concepts. You're not going to be tested on, like, explain TCP, IP, etc., etc. It's a way for, it's sort of a way for you to be able to conceptualize and that. So just watch them, and then hopefully you will pick as much as possible up from this, and then do. It's the doing part that we emphasize. That's where you're going to spend your time. So if you just watch them and think that, oh, I don't understand everything and it seems a bit complex, don't think too much about it. Start doing, and perhaps you can revisit some of the lectures, or you get all the help you need during a workshop.
Yeah.
So
exactly. Maybe you have some information about different parts or different fields of study, but it makes these lectures makes your mind coherent. I mean, it's follow-up information. So it would be nice if you listen. It's just for sake of a student. So yeah. Then after library, I talked about, I just brought some Raspberry Pi Pico programming example, that how they can write a code, and we call it physical computing, and upload it on the Pico and run it. And then lecture 5, that it's about messaging protocol, and I talked about MQTT. And the basic concept about it, that is the subscriber publisher protocol, or PubSub, and how to set up an MQTT broker in ADOF root, and I also talk about data serialization format, I mean JSON and binary, and some assignment. So it was whole lectures in week 1. I know it is too much, but I would say that it's worth to listen.
yeah. And we could probably, yeah, the thing here is that, I mean, those that are into this, like studying this course now, you never know what has happened before, but I mean, it is the 4th time we run this course, and we have done things a little bit different all the years. So we try to adapt, we try to change into something better. And one of the things that we did last year was to have actually also per design, not so much practical information in lectures, but rather focusing on the more abstract level, and then put all what was needed more on the workshops. This year we have tried to adapt and do a little bit different. So we emphasize first week on a lot of the basics, and also the second week also on the workshops, and then we end up with maybe quite many lectures, but also bear in mind, you don't necessarily need to like sit down, take notes, and watch every bit of minute. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't watch the lectures. Obviously we have developed these so they should fit the course, but the main part is be in the workshops and spend time there, watch the lectures. You can also put them on speed 2, something like that, in the YouTube player. Listen to them while you're out and walking in your as a podcast. That is also a possibility. Sometimes you don't need the slides if you just hear someone speak, and so because there will be a lot, and also there are less number of lectures later on. So if you look at this, it's more lectures in the beginning, and later on we will obviously spend more time on the project. So maybe we could talk about that. So we had a small recap of the first week lectures. And if we look at the first week of lectures, we actually cover a lot of the introductory to IoT. So if you have done the first week, we are more or less like, yeah, we have fulfilled that obligatory part of introduction to IoT, which is really nice. Don't forget to do the first quiz. The quizzes, it will be 4 quizzes in total. We will unlock them after the time goes. The first quiz has a deadline of, I think it's the 12th. So it's just the first week, the first quiz should be done. The quiz is sort of linked to the lectures, but it's not like exactly wording linked. It's more of concepts. And the point of the quizzes, and this might be important to say, is that the quizzes are obviously obligatory. You need to do the quizzes. You can, although, redo them as many times as you like. And it doesn't matter if you get 60%, because that is the grade, that is the passing grade, or if you get 100% on the quiz. You will actually get whatever final grade you get anyhow. So the quizzes are more of a thing that you do, And as I see it, the quizzes are one of the things that we use as an activation mechanism, that we want you to do something every week. They are not supposed to be hard. And actually, they are more supposed to be engaging and fun rather than hard. So don't take them too seriously. That's what I'm saying. Do them, obviously, and hopefully by doing them, you will get some kind of learning experience and also be active. For those of you that still have problems with Canvas, that you're not able to log in, then you are not able to do the quiz. Don't worry, because the quizzes have a soft deadline. That essentially means you will be able to make all 4 quizzes the last week of the course, and it will be fine. Hopefully, you will do them on a weekly basis. That is the optimal thing. But it's a soft deadline, and you won't get they are sort of not graded in that sense. You need to pass them to get your grade, but the percentage of the quizzes doesn't really matter. But I know that a lot of people are redoing the quizzes, and they want to actually, it's fun to at least know what you did wrong. So there will be more quizzes. They will come every week. It will be, you will see. They are supposed to be linked to somewhat what happens during the week. And just to give you a little bit of a more clear idea on what's ahead, in the late part of the course, there will be separate learning material. I will record a video on how to write your report. There will be a separate video of me going through this. So I will leave that for later on. But yes, you will need to do a report. If you are curious on, well, how will that video look like? Feel free to actually check in the last year's project tutorial template. There is a video from the last year's course, and this year will more or less be the same. I'm almost thinking about reusing that one, but I probably won't. But it's a very standardized and structured format for your report. So you shouldn't be worried at all about that. So the peer reviews, that is also some part that will be covered during the last week, but you hand in your report the last week, but I would say not the last week, but just before the last week. And then we're going to have a peer review. So everyone in the course will have to read 3 other students' reports and give some comments. And when I say comments, that is also super structured. So we follow a format where you give points on a couple of different topics. That everyone needs to be prepared and do, and that will be covered in detail in a separate lecture when we get to that. The dates are already in the schedule, so I don't even need to mention the dates now, because I will probably say something that isn't correct. The dates are in the schedule. So just give a heads up, the last week we will have this presentations extravaganza. It will be presentations all day long for a full week. For those of you that don't want to spend the full week, 9 to 5 every day, watching and presentations, don't worry, you won't have to. We will put up a planning document where you will have a time slot where you can choose your own time slot. Obviously, not everyone, it will be first take. Obviously, we will, when the slot is filled, it will be filled. But it will be a very flexible thing. So don't worry too much. Why we haven't put up that document just yet is that we want to just get like a gut feeling of how many students are actually doing the presentations. Is it 100, 200, or 300? Because that number will matter quite much on how much time slots and resources we need to put into this. But the last week will be a lot of presentations. More information will come. Don't worry too much about that, but please make sure that you at least are ready for that. I can also mention that, I mean, we have started with the basic lectures now. like Neda, you have been a master in organizing the first introductory lectures. There are already, if you look at our playlist, if you look at the playlist which we have developed, there are already a couple of lectures which I haven't spoken about that I've put there because they are very much worth listening into. And there will also be a couple of guest lectures during the third and the fourth week of the course. So there will be more interesting things happening. And these lectures are, I would say, more of an outreach and like looking into the IT world and community. So there will be more. Maybe I should mention about project. I've seen some comments from people that do I need to choose my project, and is there any standard format, etc., etc. And I could just say again that yes, you will need to choose your own project. We don't give you a project. You need to choose one. If you haven't got an idea, so don't worry. It's the first week in the course. You don't need to have a project idea at this point. Just take it easy, go with the flow. Spend time in the workshops, get the basic stuff working. You get your sensor working. You will soon talk about connectivity. You might also send some data to a server. You might, when you do all these things, you might get an idea. You might get an idea of just discussing with other people in the project discussions channel. You might get an idea of just going into hackster.io. There's a lot of interesting projects out there. Or you could also check out what has been done previous years. Replicate any of these projects. It's fine. So obviously, try to do something that matters for you. I've said it before. Try to do something that you think is fun learning or like changes something in your life. That is the most rewarding, I would say. But don't feel stressed out if you don't know what to do. That's probably important to say. It feels that there are not that many questions. We have covered everything that has come up, at least in the server and also on YouTube now. And my idea is that we try to keep these weekly blogs to about 30 minutes, but we are already 7 or 8 minutes over time.
Yeah.
Is there anything we should add, Neda? Or
No, I don't have anything to add. No, I was just thinking the only problem for the first week was that extension that I talked about it. But if there are other questions, I'm sure TAs are doing great job and help students a lot. So I don't think any unclear things is left.
That's great.
Yes.
Yeah, and it is a fast-paced course. So
we didn't talk about the next week.
Yeah, we can mention the next week as well.
Yes, the next week they will learn how to send data via Wi-Fi and via LoRaWAN. So
for those that have the LoRaWAN module, not everyone does. So
yeah, they have a coverage of that. Yes, exactly. So then they can see that in the roadmap that exists, and they have the choose of Wi-Fi or LoRaWAN. Then they can follow both of them, and it's quite straightforward. That's it for the next week.
Yeah. Okay. In that case, I guess this is the first week and end of first week. So keep working and do your quizzes and join the workshops. And you'll see us very soon again. And if there is any problems at all or any questions, just ask and we will answer. Okay, so thank you very much, and have a very nice weekend, everyone.
Yeah.